Most single vehicle motorcycle crashes happen in corners. In those instances, there is no one to blame but the rider. But why is this the case? Why are so many riders crashing in corners? What's going wrong with the rider or the way that we ride that makes corners such an obvious crashing point? Well, this week on MCrider, let's talk about why riders run wide in corners and what we can do about it. If you've ever watched a rider learn to ride a motorcycle, one of the obvious things that you'll observe is their fear of leaning the motorcycle in a corner. You know, it's kind of goes against our natural senses to lean around corners. When I walk and I go around a corner, I don't lean to get through that corner. I don't have to lean. When I'm driving a car and I go around a corner, if anything, I'm kind of leaning the opposite direction from the corner when I'm driving a car. So as soon as a new rider hops on a motorcycle and the motorcycle tries to lean into the corner, it feels unnatural. But a motorcycle has to lean in the corner. There's no other option for it to turn or to get around that corner. The faster you're going, the more lean angle it takes for the motorcycle to get around the corner. That's why I believe it's the rider's entry speed is really critical for them to get around a corner safely, and why I still believe that the slow look, press, and roll technique is the proper technique for new riders. So slow look, press, and roll is the technique taught by the Motorcycle Safety Foundation. You slow prior to get to the corner, you look where you want the motorcycle to go, you press on the hand grip to get the motorcycle to lean into the corner, and you roll on or maintain throttle throughout the corner. So that's the slow look, press, and roll technique. It's been under a bit of attack lately from some more experienced riders and some other riding instructors. There's a big argument over which technique is better, either slow look, press, and roll or trail braking. And like we say frequently on the forums at MCrider, the answer to that question is, in my opinion, well, it depends. I still believe that slow look, press, and roll for new riders is the best technique because it forces that rider to slow down prior to entering the corner and allows them to negotiate the corner with less lean angle and fear. However, I fully believe that there are advantages to trail braking, and in fact, it's what I use when I'm riding on the street. But I'm not a new rider either who's still struggling with brake and throttle control and some of the other issues that a new rider faces. For me, slow look, press, and roll is kind of like training wheels. Training wheels would be a huge hindrance to any rider who's wanting to win the Tour de France, but it would be a fantastic training aid for the 4-year-old who's learning to ride a bicycle. It allows that 4-year-old to start riding their bike now as they gain balance and all the other techniques involved in learning to ride a bicycle, but with less risk. So I see no problem in learning to ride with training wheels, and then when the time is right, take those off and learn more advanced techniques. The whole subject of slow look, press, and roll versus trail braking would encompass an entire video. In fact, I could spend this entire video talking about that one subject, but I've done that in the past, and if you want to learn more about that topic in particular, go to mcrider.com. Search for trail braking in the upper right-hand corner of the page, and you'll find a whole lot of videos that I've done on this very subject. So many riders run wide in corners simply because their entry speed is too fast into the corner for their particular skill level. If you combine poor entry speed and some of the other mistakes we'll talk about, you're looking at a recipe for disaster. Another mistake that riders often make is they initiate the turn into the corner too soon. So what is the problem with initiating the turn too soon? Let me pull up a diagram. We'll look at delayed entry versus early entry on a corner, and we'll see what this diagram can teach us about it. So in this diagram, we have two riders entering a corner. The rider in orange takes an early entry into the corner, and the rider in green takes a delayed entry into the corner. Let's look at the orange rider first. Often when we're entering a corner and we're coming in too fast, we try to compensate for that speed by making an early entry into the corner. Well, this causes us some problems as we exit the corner because the path of travel we're on causes us to run wide at the exit of the corner. So we either run wide and off the road or path of travel that we're traveling on when we exit the corner, or we increase our lean angle right here at the time that we should be accelerating out of the corner. So let's compare that to our green rider who delays their entry into the corner. They lean the motorcycle the most early in the corner when the motorcycle is at its slowest point in the corner, the entry. This results in a delayed apex into the corner right here and a much straighter path to exit the corner, allowing them to roll on the throttle as they exit the corner. Now remember, a motorcycle tire only has so much traction. Leaning the motorcycle and rolling on the throttle both use traction. You'll always be better by using your lean angle when the motorcycle is at its slowest point in the corner, early on in the corner, than trying to add more lean angle at the same time you're accelerating out of the corner. So let's recap where we are right now. We have a rider who has a fear of leaning the motorcycle. When they come into the corner, they come into the corner too quickly. That causes them to begin the cornering too soon, as we saw in the diagram, and then fear sets in. So we got a rider now who is 3/4 of the way to crashing in the corner, and then fear creates that straw that broke the camel's back. They target fixate. They look at the outside of the corner, and they fail to get their head turned and look where they want the motorcycle to go. Looking where you want the motorcycle to go sounds like such simple advice, but it's one thing that riders fail to do over and over on the streets. Teaching riders to corner properly in a new rider class or in a total control class, you can really see the problems that it causes and how correcting this one mistake has a huge and immediate impact on how the rider is able to negotiate a curve. So a rider coach will tell the rider, turn your head through the corner. The rider will say, okay, and they'll do this. Rider coach will say, turn your head through the corner. I mean, really turn your head through the corner this time. The rider will say, okay, and they'll do this. So the rider coach demonstrates how to turn your head through the corner. They say, look at me, and they turn their head to show that rider what they're talking about. Then the rider gets on the motorcycle, they go into that corner, they turn their head, and there's a huge and immediate impact on how that rider can negotiate a curve. In fact, I believe turning your head and looking where you want the motorcycle to go can compensate for all of the other mistakes that we've already mentioned. We could take a rider who is 3/4 of the way to crashing into the corner, and they can often save that corner simply by turning their head and looking where they want the motorcycle to go. You know, it's kind of like magic. You turn that head and the motorcycle's going to follow. Your lean angle can be much steeper. As soon as you get out of this zone and you start looking where you want that motorcycle to go, it has a huge impact. And I'd venture to say that most riders watching this video do not turn their head far enough through the corner, and it's a hindrance to your cornering ability. It's a simple tip that has a huge impact on your ability to corner a motorcycle and to do so safely. Till next week, guys, it's Kevin with MCrider, and I'll see you on the road.